The government may be shut down, but the U.S. economy isn't breaking a sweat. While political leaders clash and headlines scream crisis, Wall Street and Main Street are moving forward with minimal disruption. Some say it's proof of a resilient economy. Others argue it shows how little faith people have left in Washington. Either way, the shutdown drama has everyone talking, just not everyone stressing. Listen to this news clip to learn more on how it will affect the economy, if any, and follow or support for more exquisite content like this. And please pray for this nation and have a blessed and exquisite day.
Shutdown, and there are no signs of when it may end. The Trump administration has frozen billions of dollars in federal funding, and roughly 750,000 federal workers are facing furloughs. Both parties are blaming the other for the political stalemate.
Time for lawmakers to negotiate full-year spending bills. Joining us now for what it means for you is former Trump White House economic advisor Steve Moore. Good morning to you, sir. You know, you and I both have been in D.C. when there's been shutdowns, a bunch of them, right? So what can we expect? And for that person sitting at home, how's this going to affect them? How's this going to affect the economy?
Not much, actually, and you're right. I've been in this game for 40 years. I came to Washington in 1984, so I think I've probably lived through about 12 to 15 of these temporary shutdowns. This is not the end of the world. It's a shame it's come to this. I do think the Democrats and Chuck Schumer have overplayed their hands a little bit. What they're saying is they want to repeal all of the cost savings from the tax bill that passed back in July, and Republicans aren't going to do that. The Democrats want more money for health care for illegal immigrants. They want to get rid of work requirements for welfare. Those aren't very popular positions with the American people. And given, Jan, that we're borrowing $2 trillion a year in Washington, the idea of adding all this new spending, I don't think that's going to be very popular with taxpayers.
What is the play here for Democrats? Because the GOP controls the House, the White House. They've got the majority in the Senate. You even saw 3 Senate Democrats breaking with the Democratic Party yesterday to vote for this. So what is the play?
Well, this is the Schumer shutdown. There's no question about it. I mean, Schumer has wanted a shutdown. Look, the Democrats have been kind of lost in the wilderness since the Trump election. They're trying to, find themselves again, and I think they overplayed their hand here. We'll see how this plays out. This is really a war of who can win the public relations fight, whether it will be Trump or whether it will be Schumer. I think right now Americans are thinking, well, what's the point of this lockdown? I mean, you think the economy's doing fine? We've got record stock market. Things are going well. Why is it that we're shutting down the government for these over these issues? Which really, if Schumer were to prevail, we'd be talking about hundreds of billions of dollars of additional spending.
Right. Well, Trump did warn Democrats, congressional Democrats, this will have consequences. Already, the White House budget director has ordered agencies to consider firings instead of furloughs and also rewriting regulations for federal grants.
Right.
Is this an opportunity to just get rid of some of these non-essential government jobs and programs?
Well, Russell Vought, who runs the budget office, thinks so, and we'll see. That will be played out in court. But this is a risk that Democrats are taking, Jan. They're basically giving a lot of power to the White House to decide not. So in other words, what Russell Vought is saying is, if these are non-essential employees and we're running a $2 trillion deficit, why do we need the non-essential employees? So they may not have jobs to come back to. Look, I think this is going to get resolved in the next few days. I think the Democrats are going to have to blink. And I'll tell you, I mean, I've talked to my friends over at the White House. Donald Trump is not going to budge here because he feels like he has the upper hand.
And Vice President J.D. Vance said Democrats we're holding the government hostage, and he said this leverage they're using and these demands, they're non-starters. What does history very quickly tell us about this when one side tries to undo legislation like you mentioned before? Because back in 2013, the GOP forced a shutdown for 16 days trying to undo Obamacare. That didn't work, as we know.
Right. Yeah, and probably the most famous episode of a government shutdown was back when Bill Clinton was president and Republicans took Congress. And I think that government shutdown lasted weeks and weeks until it finally came to a resolution. So, as I said before, this is really going to be a contest between who can win the public relation, who can go to the American people and say, we're right, they're wrong. I do think that Schumer has overplayed his hand because a lot of Americans are scratching their heads saying, why are we doing this?
Yeah.
What is the point of the shutdown?
Very quickly, do we have 4 or 5 Senate Democrats? Do you think that could that might break with the party? Do we have 4 or 5 more?
Jan, you're making a very good point, and I want to make sure your viewers understand this, because a lot of people say, well, wait a minute, the Republicans control the White House, they control the House and the Senate. How is it the government is being shut down? Because I want to remind your viewers that it takes 60 votes in the Senate to pass a budget.